Your Excellency, we would like to take this opportunity to congratulate you in advance ahead of the upcoming anniversary of the July 22nd revolution. There is no doubt it's one episode that has changed the political, economic, and social landscape of this country. We've come 20 years. If I may ask, it's been eventful. What your assessment of your own record? Are we anywhere you had wanted us to be 20 years?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله رب العالمين. I thank the Almighty Allah for these wonderful 20 years, and I also thank the good Gambian people and the rest of humanity that stood by us through the first most difficult 10 years and then the last 10 years. I thank God because I expected Gambia to be beyond this point by now. The city-state would have been in place by now. But I'm very grateful to the Almighty Allah to be able to achieve in 20 years what the British couldn't achieve in 400 years and what Jara couldn't attain in 30 years. So, sometimes when I look at what has happened and I say, oh, we should have got this one as well, then I go by, I realize that maybe I'm being ungrateful to the Almighty Allah. Because when you go around and look at the level of development, especially the infrastructure, transport and communication, you realize that we have achieved a lot in a period of 20 years when most people were not on your side. So I am very grateful. In 20 years, I wanted Gambia to be a city-state. That would be that could not even be comparable to Singapore. Because you remember in those days, during the transition, we were not talking about Singapore because Jara's dream, we call it sink at port.
Sink at port.
Yes, I remember that statement was made in Basse. So we are looking beyond Singapore. But of course, if you look at the number of years it took Singapore to be what it is, it's not 5 years. And now everybody has, for us, the focus is not Singapore. The focus is on the Gulf states that have come, that are mushrooming at types of wonderful infrastructure. I thought we could compete Dubai. Dubai was my target, and it still is my target to compete to beat Dubai in terms of whatever you see in Dubai. I want something better than that for the Gambia. But of course, they have oil and a lot of resources. But the good thing is that by the grace of the Almighty Allah, when we start, their buildings would have been a little bit old-fashioned, so we have to come with something new. But I'm very grateful because every 100 years, God brings a new power, you know. So the talk has been Singapore, and then now Dubai, and then we talk about Qatar and others. The next 5 years, it will be Gambia by the grace of the Almighty Allah. So I'm very grateful to the Almighty Allah and to the Gambian people for what we are able to achieve, and true friends of the Gambia as well. But by now I was expecting a city-state.
What went wrong?
What went wrong? Nothing went wrong, except that people were treacherous. We didn't also have the resources. We didn't have the support that of course would have been expected for us to achieve that objective. The resources that we have to realize the objective could have been extracted at that time. But I don't want to be like countries I don't want to name where you produce so much hundreds of barrels of oil a day, only for people to die in the Atlantic Ocean hustling, trying to reach Europe. For every dollar you have 5 cents. I would rather leave it there until we are able to pay for it ourselves.
And that's just 5%.
Well, a dollar is 100 cents, so if it is 5 cents out of it, that's 5%, yes. Yes. And I will not accept that. I will not even accept things that tell me, oh, we're being generous to give you a percentage higher than that. That's unacceptable. I thought of you, I know the cost of an oil platform, I know the cost of drilling a well, it is not more than $80 million. The platform, the whole platform may cost you, because it is ultra deep, may cost about $600 million, maybe, on the high side. Now, if you produce 200,000 barrels a day at the current price, you should be able to amortize your investment in less than 5 years. So why would you need 35 years of exclusivity? You don't pay royalty, you don't pay after profit tax. You don't have to pay anything. You want to take everything because you think we are ants. We don't think. That's not going to happen. So if you had extracted the resources we have up to now, we would have been better than Singapore. We would have built an ultra-modern city-state because we have a lot of natural resources. But of course also with so many treacherous elements around, it was also not conducive. So Allah knows why he decided that let me give them this one for now and then later. Because also the security of the country has to be taken into consideration. We should be able to defend ourselves without counting on anybody except the Almighty Allah. So security has to be boosted. The security apparatus has to be redefined, and so that is still ongoing. And so, by the grace of the Almighty Allah, the next 5 years will be something else. If we were flying at subsonic speed in the 20 years which I know you were at subsonic speed, the next 5 years will be supersonic speed by the grace of the Almighty Allah, and nobody and no power can stop that except the Almighty Allah.
Let me take you back to the early days of the revolution. The transition period, to speak, had been one of the most, if not the most eventful in terms of government activity in the AFPRC, APRC administrations. How do you compare then and now in terms of your ability to initiate, formulate, and execute among projects and programs? Was it easier then than now?
Obviously, yes. You see, I always ask the so-called advocates or defenders of democracy whether it takes democracy to develop a country. And the answer is no. Why? Because if that was the case, then why did the British come and colonize us against our will for 400 years? It didn't end there. Democracy was still there because the Greeks invented it, and human rights. A human being has rights. They left Europe, came to Africa with gunboats and colonized us. They didn't end there. They were not getting enough of what they wanted to get them out of abject poverty. They decided to capture poor people like you. And then they were selling Africans like bulls. They were taking the cream of Africa, young, everybody's strongest people, into slavery. And at the slave markets, they used to sell Africans as bulls, a breeder. So they get strong, tall women and strong, tall men and put them together to breed to get strong slaves. This is how we are treated, and today those same people are talking about democracy and human rights. So, but the government could see the difference. During the transition, we were all unified. Though some people were pretending, but there were no politics, and everybody had his hand on deck. As soon as politics came, then people started saying their ugly faces. They know they will not get what they want. They decide to stifle it or put the clog in the wheel of development. Talk here, there, and there, and there. Projects were delayed. People were not as serious as they were because during the transition, there was nothing like maslaha. We know what happens. If you don't perform, you go home or you go to jail. So, if you talk about the rights of people to live the way they want, that is different from democracy. This is natural sense of justice, that every human being is free to perform what you want to perform. But if you live in a society, your performance should not be detrimental to the existence of others, and that's why you have the laws to regulate that. That I believe in, that every human being has dignity that must be respected, his freedoms must be respected, as long as also in the exercise of your freedoms, you do not encroach upon the freedoms of others. That is a natural law. So it doesn't have to take any Western country or whatever country for us to have that. But why you allow people to deny God, insult people, do whatever they want in the name of democracy, that is not democracy but destruction. Now, people have begun to change their attitude again because I'm not compromising my principles. And now it is a question of you work or you go home. And if you go home also, whatever you have stolen, you're not going to enjoy it because we're going to put you before the courts. And so maybe 3/4 of that will go into paying marabouts and a lawyer. In most cases, you go to a marabout first. He takes his share and tells you, don't worry, go and sleep. You go and sleep because the marabout says nothing is going to come out. You wake up in prison. And the marabout is eating his benediction. So, there and then, yes, there's a difference between the transition. Things were faster. Remember, in those days, today, feasibility study will take you 6 months, 12 months, whatever. Remember that within 18 months, when you look at July 22nd to the elections, and the time we built the arch, the time we built the Farafenni Hospital, the roads and the schools, this is all within 18 months.
The airport. Within
18 months. Today, those same projects will take you nothing less than 2 or 3 years. It took us 18 months to achieve what we have achieved under a military government and during the transition. So now government should be able to see the difference. In those days, people will say, as soon as elections came, everybody say, oh, now it's a democracy. Well, the chairman, now is no longer the chairman, it's the president. Oh, he can walk around and go on a spot check. Oh, yeah, well, but now it's democracy. Do you understand? Some people say, oh, if they kick me out, I'll join the opposition. Who cares? Go and join the opposition. Because you join them to suffer. Opposition. Because they're not going to get anything in this country. Good Gambians, God-fearing Gambians, and progressive Gambians who want development, who want a better life, will never support those decadent elements. So, this is it. There's the difference. Within 18 months, we were able to achieve all those projects, including GRTS, and of course the University of the Gambia. Within 18 months, how many important projects were achieved? Today, it is practically not possible. There is one of these projects, agricultural projects, is 2 years old, and not a single hectare has been developed. It's all on workshops and study tours for best practices. And that's why I'm taking drastic action against the Minister of Agriculture, because that is the area we have failed most, because we should have been self-sufficient by now and exporting.
Actually, I was coming.
And of course, if you remember, during the transition, all the agricultural projects were very successful. You remember gum rice that was being produced by Gambians. In fact, we were producing basmati in this country, and that is all within 18 months of the transition period. So you can see the difference. Yes.
Yes, I was coming to agriculture. You've mentioned agriculture. three key social sectors of health, education, and agriculture were priorities, of course, on your agenda.
They have always been priorities.
Always been priorities.
Always been priorities, yes.
And the achievements in the area of health, education, the records are there for all to see. But the same cannot be said of agriculture. What is the problem here? After investing resources.
The problem is dishonesty. You have a lazy and treacherous, unpatriotic workforce called technicians who manage the projects. The Gambian farmers are very great, very hard-working farmers. And when I said, of course, 90% of the people I'm talking about are the Gambian women. But of course also, men also have been doing tremendously good job. This tour, the last tour that I conducted, showed me the stark reality of how wickedness can thwart development in any third world country. The attitude of those project officers, those who are those in the field, didn't serve as an inspiration for the farmers. Extension workers were supposed to inspire farmers. But they are the motivating factor in agriculture. I went around and I didn't see one demonstration farm that belongs to agriculture. I went to the agricultural regional center and I was very angry with what I've seen there. One cannibalized equipment that are just lying idle and not without anybody, in fact, being completely neglected. And the offices full of cobwebs and an agricultural regional center full of dirt. It was like a trash bin. And I say, if a delegation, I told the Minister of Agriculture, if a delegation comes from outside, don't bring them here, because a regional center, and there's nothing to show, except one plant of money that was stolen from my farm. And even that, I could see the plant itself. It's a very rugged plant. But I could see the plant crying for water. So I looked at it, and then I saw the minister was trying to look at my face, to maybe try to discern what I'm looking at. So I saw the cobwebs. They pretended that I didn't see it. Then he turned his back on me, he looked at it, and he said, "What is this?" And the guy said, it's the office. I think the director's office. And I laughed. Then I laughed, he realized I've seen what he has seen. He said, "And what is this? How much money do you need to get rid of these cobwebs?" And the regional director is supposed to stay put at his station. You have the regional director all at Agric headquarters. Look at the cost of fuel settling on a weekly basis to go and see what is going on. Now, if the regional director who's supposed to be there is not there, what do you think of the next in command? And then the field workers. They also go and sit down and drink at this hectare, yes, you plow it and plant this, and then they go and sit down. I'm not going to compromise on agriculture or any other sector, because I gave a warning that I think it was during the independence, that I'm getting old and I'm not going to accept any nonsense, because I have to achieve what I have set myself for and for this country. And with the grace of the Almighty Allah, nobody can stop me from achieving that. So you either work or go home. This is the second, maybe the fourth time I'm repeating the same thing. It is, yes, it's a democracy in this sense that you are free to work. You decide to stay or go, but you have no right to say, let me stay, I will not work and be paid salary and be an obstacle to development. That's not going to happen. But when you look at it, the reason why agriculture is very important is because if you don't have a healthy nation, there's no way you can develop. You may develop at your own expense. The development will not be of benefit to your people. Now, without agriculture, health services would collapse. Why? Imagine you go to the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital, and every doctor is hungry, and all the nurses are hungry. You think they'll be able to take care of the patients the way they should be, and the patients are hungry. You go to Gambia Senior Secondary School, the teachers are hungry, the students are hungry. Would that be education? You go to civil aviation, all of them are hungry. So, without food, this is the importance of agriculture. Without it, nothing works.
It cuts across.
Yes. So imagine bulldozer drivers, they are hungry. You think you'll be able to build a road? You go to the fuel station, the fuel attendant is hungry. So, agriculture is indispensable. It's as indispensable as the oxygen you breathe. Because even if you have enough oxygen, you don't have food, you're going to die. You can bear 10 days, 20 days, 100 days, 3 years without a butut in your pocket. But can you bear without a grain of food in your stomach for 72 hours? No. And that is why I'm not giving chances to agriculture. Because the healthiness of the nation depends on agriculture. The prosperity of this country depends on agriculture. The well-being of every person in this country, not only Gambian, depends on agriculture. What we would say, oh, but despite these failures in agriculture, people are healthy, the health sector did well. It did well at our expense, at the expense of public projects. Because the Gambians know that we had to subsidize rice, basic commodities, in order for it to be affordable to the average Gambian. So what we would have produced, we have to pay that in cash in the form of subvention or subsidy in order to make agriculture food available to the Gambian population. And I'm not going to do that again. So 2016, you better take it seriously. If you don't have a plot in Sintet, go, well, you are an immigrant to Sintet in the first place. So wherever your grandfather came, you better follow, because what you may have in Sintet will not be enough. So you retrace your roots, whatever piece of land you have, at least have a piece of it. Because you have to grow what you eat and eat what you grow. If you don't, you buy from what is grown in the Gambia. Importation is not going to happen. So, imagine, like when we had the food crisis, we had to figure a lot of things. We had to intervene to make sure that the rice was affordable. To make sure that it didn't go beyond $1,000 per bag. We have to subsidize heavily in order to make sure that there are no food queues. People will not queue for rice. If we didn't intervene, people were going to queue for rice, and it means, in fact, it was not going to be available. Because at that time, there was no way we could have paid the price of rice, knowing that internationally it was not even there. So this is the importance of agriculture. And your dignity and independence can only be determined by your source of food. No matter how wealthy you are. If you have the money and there's no rice to buy, and somebody has it and says, and every day you go, children are telling, Daddy, we are hungry. And there's somebody with rice and wants you to dance or eat pork. At the end of the day, you end up eating pork before he sells the rice to you. So food is a very, very dangerous weapon. But of course, it is also indispensable. You are as independent as you control and have control over your source of food. So, imagine if you are hungry, would you go and worship Allah? You will, but a second after food, a second day without food will make you, in fact, sometimes question whether God is merciful. So then you start questioning whether God in fact exists. If God exists, why am I starving? You understand how important food is? Yes. But in all the other sectors we did very well. And in agriculture, in terms of providing basic necessities, in terms of basic food commodities, we did very well. But I wish these were produced here, so that what we spent to stabilize the food basic commodities market, we would have spent it on building more schools. So then maybe we would have achieved the city-state status. But we also didn't fail woefully in terms of the attainment of that objective. Why? Because Gambia is the only country in Africa today where even in the province you have electricity. And we are one of the very few countries in Africa that have achieved that, one of the MDGs of clean potable water in the rural area. So we have come a long way, for which we are grateful to the Almighty Allah. And now, not only city-state status we're talking about an economic superpower, because we've almost achieved that city-state status. Today you can get up and in the morning and maybe before 5 you are in Basse. There was a time it would take you a whole day before you even reach somewhere. So it is great achievement. And of course also, how many story buildings did we have? In those days, when somebody builds a story building, everybody knows it. Hey, someone built Tahi. So you say Tahi Jammeh, Tahi Ki. Today we have so many Tahi that nobody is talking about it. It is no longer something that is iconic. Unless it is, imagine if, for example, the late Sankonsila's building and Mohammed Jas building, imagine they were built during Jawara's time. Even the birds will be talking about those buildings. You know, in those days, up to 1994, the only iconic building was Central Bank of the Gambia. Today, you have other buildings. Very soon, all those buildings will be relegated to the history books because the National Petroleum Company building is coming up and it's going to be the highest building so far in the country. But that holding will not last because I know what's coming up next, maybe in a year or two. But they will be the king for a few days. So, and when you look at the infrastructure, I'm not talking about public infrastructure, but private infrastructure. A lot of Gambians have come a long way. Those who start, especially those who came up as a result of the revolution. Mohammed Jas, the Edie Joes, and others. I think sooner or later, maybe 2-3 years from now, Edie Joe may be able to supply our domestic requirements of chicken, in addition to what is produced by other poultry farmers. So it's not a mean achievement, it's a great achievement. And so I want to thank the Almighty Allah and thank every Gambian and non-Gambian who has contributed in one way or the other positively.
Many believe that Vision 2016 is long overdue, could have come earlier. The kind of seriousness with which you are pursuing this policy objective, if it had come much earlier, probably we would have attained food self-sufficiency, given the amount of investment made in agriculture. You yourself, quoting your own self, you said your government had spent more than $100 million in this area. You had disposed hundreds of tractors. Value those tractors in monetary terms. How much money then are you talking about? Was there a problem of approach as well?
I disagree with you that it should have come earlier. Vision 2016, when you say 2016, it's just a cutoff mark. Okay? But the objective of the vision has been with us since day one. National pride, self-reliance, accountability, transparency, and probity. We came with Operation Feed the Nation, Operation Feed Yourself. What makes Vision 2016 unique is not that it is the beginning. It is the end of all these pledges. I've been saying the next 3 years, we will be self-sufficient and go into the export market. Now, but when we have been saying that, and it seems that nobody is taking cue that yes, we should be very serious about it. Go back to the land. Going back to the land. It's all part of the objective is to achieve self-sufficiency by making use of the natural resources that we have, and that's the River Gambia, and of course the amount of fresh water we have, in order to achieve self-sufficiency. Now, why would anybody think that Vision 2016 is new? It is only new in the sense that I've decided that 2016 I'm not going to allow importation of rice.
That is what I am saying. If you had said that probably in 1996, say by 1999, we are going to stop importing rice, we would have worked towards achieving it, and then probably...
No, we have always worked towards self-sufficiency. As I said, it is only we have these people that are not fit to live who are leading the projects. We have dangerous, decadent, wicked Gambians who are leading these projects. And behold, as I make pronouncement, they sit around the council and say, this man doesn't know what he's talking about. And then they hoodwink different ministers of agriculture, making them believe that, oh, we need to do this and that and that. A typical example is they give you technical bullshit. By telling you, oh, you need land development, you need soil studies. Soil studies, so should it take you 7 years for you to do soil studies? And after I asked the Minister of Agriculture and with geology and water resources, how come they never thought of making sure that they have a comprehensive study of the country so that an investor comes and they ask, I want to grow grapes. Can you advise me where I should do? In order to cut off the cost of soil studies, they don't have that. Because it's convenient to them to say, oh, we need to do soil studies. If you are outside, I think we are on the tour, and you realize sometimes they made me very angry. When you start talking and then they tell about the pH, they thought I didn't know what the pH scale stands for. And they start, oh, the pH. I said, we are not interested in the pH. I'm asking you why these reeds are here and what is preventing us from opening this up for the local people to cultivate. You talk about, you stand around an area where they tell you that 9 months of the year is fresh water. It is only towards the last 3 months before the rains that salt water salinity rises because of dehydration. When I ask this question, okay, between the first rain up to now, April, we could have had 3 harvests before this salt comes in. Because I remember the tour was in April. So why didn't we make use of that? Yeah, we have to study also the salinity and the pH. So, but you told me that up to March, the water is fresh. I said yes. Then they said, no, it starts being brackish from March. Anyway, so then you see a canal that was there. It's not a brand new canal. The canal was there in the heyday of this Jahali Pachar project. It was just clogged. And they said to rehabilitate that, they needed $15 million. We have under Vision 2016, we have rehabilitated that with only $150,000. Imagine $15 million compared to $150,000. I wanted to prove a point. When they said it there, I told the minister this is a lie. Say, okay, now tell me why it costs so much. How come you can get it off head? Which means, how do you get the figures up to 15 million? You have to tell me how you got there. Well, the studies, the land development. I say, which land development? So you're just saying things off your head. And what was also interesting and what made me very angry was the fact that they would not even tell me the name of the contractor. A certain Gambian contractor. You remember at Jakoto, I was asking whether the contractor is a phantom. Because they would not want to tell me the name of the contractor. The contractor is charging, I think, they were talking about 10 million. About 10 million also at Jakoto, just to... Yeah. And I asked, what is he going to do? So, well, he's going to change the so-called culverts and the sluice gates or whatever. You know, they have their own terminology. And then when we went around, the type of bridges they are talking about, or crossover they are talking about, or crossing points, they use angle iron. The medium, not even the highest rate of angle iron, the medium one. And they use those wood planks that are produced locally. And they say, okay, Because when I asked, why would it cost about 10 million or 15 million? They said, I think they said, no, it was 15. It was also 15. They said, well, he's going to construct about 5 bridges. This was towards the end, when we were just leaving, saying, no, because he's going to build about 5 bridges. And what are the bridges? Are those things we saw when we went on, you remember it at Sutukung, when we went to the ICA, President, stop here because they didn't want me to see the so-called bridge that they built, that even an ox cart cannot use. What is the point? So women walk on foot 4 kilometers inside, grow rice, harvest it, and carry it with that muddy place, carry it 4 kilometers out. Is that possible? And that's why post-harvest losses are very high. And so that is why now, yes, we have a Minister of Agriculture, but this time around I will be the Super Minister of Agriculture, and I'm going to, every talk will be 90% about agriculture and the rest about other development. But when we look at it, also the roads we have to contend with. Electricity was a problem. So it is a question of balancing to make sure that development, you don't concentrate too much in achieving one area and the other critical areas would suffer. So we were in terms of development infrastructure, we were in a state of emergency. You have to build a school here, a hospital here, a road here, electricity here, and then agriculture.
That's what we are building in this.
So the resources, and I'm amazed about upon retrospect. I sometimes ask myself, how the hell were we able to do that? With all the small resources that we have, we were able to build electricity, we were able to build roads, we were able to build bridges. And at the same time, at least half a bigger percentage of agricultural success. And the success came not because of ministry, but because of the people, the women of this country, these Narika farmers and others.
So you yourself, you are surprised?
Oh yes. How are we able to do it? Because when you look at what we have and our budgets, and look at the infrastructure that we are able to put in over the past 20 years, when we have very little friends in the West, it is amazing. And all of God can give you that, and I'm very grateful to the Almighty Allah. But don't you sometimes go around at night and wonder, were you expecting what you see? You go on the coastal highway at night, what you see at night, were you expecting that? Because those areas were the areas in 1984, we were being trained as recruits. It was a military training ground.
If you fly over the Gambia now.
Well, I remember in 92 or 93 when I was going to the US. It took off, it was dark. And after in the US in January 94 when I came, I was so ashamed, it was like, the good thing was it was comparable to Guinea-Conakry. So Gambia was not, we were the worst 2 airports, the darkest 2 airports. But what was interesting was the fact that at least ours was fenced. But that was Guinea-Conakry, the plane is landing, and then you see people carrying potatoes, selling potatoes, crossing the runway. That was the only difference. But today, when you take off and you land in the Gambia, and you think of Gambia 20 years ago, we should be very grateful to the Almighty Allah.
I was saying that your impact on this country can be felt right from above.
Yes, my impact. It's not me. It's God.
You're the leader.
Yeah, but all what we did, the leader wouldn't have done all that alone. That's why I have a cabinet, that's why I have a government. So, it is all of us who contributed in one way or the other. It's not Jammeh. And that is why I want the people to make, I'm the leader, yes. But all what I have achieved, I achieved it thanks to the Almighty God and the Gambian people. I'm a full good friends of the Gambia. So it's not about, Jammeh. I'm just the pace setter, I'm the pilot. But in a flight, or the captain of the ship, You have engineers, you have people taking care of various things. So it's not only the pilot or the captain. And I want people to understand that it's not me. First and foremost is the Almighty Allah. Second is my leadership and the people of the Gambia and the good friends of the Gambia. It's not Jammeh alone. Without Allah, where would I have been? Without Allah, where are we going to be? If Allah didn't bless us with what we were able to do, where are we going to be? And if I didn't have also Gambians that are committed, there was no way. So not all is not gloom about Gambians. There are patriotic Gambians, wonderful Gambians. Most of you find them amongst the women.
Let's come back to your vision 2016.
I think that I assume that you are frightened by that, but let me tell you what vision is about so that you don't ask me another question. What I think people are put emphasis on 2016. And what does 2016 mean? For the past 18 plus every year at independence or election, second celebration in agriculture, and even at the state opening of the National Assembly. But the objective of my government is to be self-sufficient in 3 years and go into the export market. It has never happened because no deadline has been set. So 2016, what it is telling you is that if you don't go to the farm now to produce what you're going to eat, then expect to buy imported food in 2016. That is all about Vision 2016.
That's 2016. That
yeah.
cut in time is the
so
issue here now.
The issue is the cut-off time, the deadline.
Some believe that it's too short period of time. You could have given yourself 5 years.
I will not. I can even bring it down to 2015. And I can achieve it by the grace of the Almighty Allah.
And what is going to be the main thrust of this policy strategy here? Because there are a lot of issues.
You have to have a significant paradigm shift in the way we implement agricultural projects. We used to have this so-called smallholder, and then you have some crooks going around as project managers on patriotic evil elements. They go around driving expensive cars and attending expensive workshops, drinking coffee. And the project doesn't go anywhere. Can you believe, and I will repeat, that from 94 to date, I'm not talking about from Jawara's days, his 5-year development plans and his REDEP, whatever projects, RDP, whatever. I'm talking about my time, because I'm responsible for what happened. Can you believe that all the project and all the money pumped into it, which is more than $100 million US, we have not developed, or the projects concerned, the officials concerned, and the ministry didn't develop 1,000 hectares in 20 years with more than $100 million. In fact, it was just putting new wine into old bottles. And each time an old bottle breaks, there is no replacement. So instead of going forward, we are going backwards. So, in terms of land development, I have to be honest. In terms of land development, Jawara's land development in agriculture was better than ours. And most of what was developed under Jawara, we were losing it to these crooks. You look at Dankunku, they lost, I don't know, maybe up to 500 hectares of rice-growing land. That used to be cultivated under Jawara, because I remember in 1987 tour we were there. Now, it started going down under Jawara. And in 1995, I insisted that we would not let that big chunk of land be taken by salt water. So we put up a project there under the late John Fay. This is one great Gambian who never stayed in the office, and unfortunately, he was not rewarded what he was supposed to get. This is John Fay. He does not sit in the office. You find him in the field. Sometimes he will not even eat. Because of John 5 looked at me and said, told me, you are a Joram Serere. I used to be your boat, now you are the president, so I'll give you the boat. I'll work for you till I die. Your vision is achievable. This was the type of leadership we lacked, and now we have it, we are going to achieve it. And this is how Ladep and others were able to maintain. They were not developing new fields. They were just maintaining what was there. When he died, everybody said, all those cooks said, Alhamdulillah. Because at every point that we went. It was during this time that we also had Bruco, which was a huge sort of land where a lot of rice was produced. That Bruco now is a Busi area. This is what happened. So can you believe that? In fact, instead of, because if you want to be self-sufficient, the acreage must increase exponentially. This is not happening. In fact, it was dwindling. When I went around, I said, oh, I stood at supper, I said, last time I was here, all this area had water during the dry season. They said, well, yeah, the canal, well, the agric officer is not there. You remember I was asking, where's the guy? Yes. And then when they are telling me that, oh, the women you talk to them, they won't listen to you. I say, but everybody has an area. You have a small plot, your area. And when you have it, you put the rice stock into the canal, you have to take it out by force. So, yeah, we've been talking and talking. And how much will it cost? And then they started scratching their head, and then, hey, where's Dembo, where's Bakari? They said, oh, we have to talk to Bura. So I had to talk to Bura. How much will it cost? He told me. And I asked the Minister of Agriculture, you want to tell me that your ministry cannot pay for that to clear the canal? I think you were there. Yes. I said, okay, I'm going to URR, but how much do you need to clear it, and how long would it take you? He said, oh, a few days. I said, okay, I gave him all the money, more than what he wanted, to make sure that it is clear, and they cleared it. The other one, the big one, I could see the minister almost tears in his eyes. Mr. President, this is all from here to the river. I said, so what is preventing us from it? He said, the main canal. And then the women were saying, we used to grow rice throughout the year. But now, it's only the dry season. When we harvest what we are seeing, we're not coming back during the rainy season. Why? Because it is flooded. Why is it flooded? They say, well, you transplant your rice and then it is flooded and you lose everything. So, okay, that being the case, what is the problem? The minister said, Mr. President, the main canal to the sea is blocked. So in those days when the fields are flooded, you open the canal, the water drains to the sea. That was the time they gave me the bombshell of 15 million to rebuild the canal. Not that rebuild with 150,000. The minister saw it on TV. He couldn't believe. But I didn't tell him what I was going to do. I told him, I'm going to prove all your crooks wrong, and then I'll send them to jail. This I said at Jakoto, I said it at this place in Nyani, where we had this, where the minister of Bati.
Bati, yeah.
You remember, it's just a small crossing point, and the other you have a huge island called Barajal Island. And they were saying that that's a huge, it's a very, they say it's about 5,000 hectares. And all what they needed was just a crossing point to go into that place. And then they were talking about how many millions to just develop. They said, land development, soil studies. I said, what soil studies? You look at this grass, wherever you see it, you know that rice will grow. So what soil study do you need? The soil study would have taken them to India, Pakistan, and space before they come and say, oh yeah, it will take you 5 years before they tell you, oh, the soils are suitable. And then they tell you, oh, land development, one canal would take you 15 million, 20 million. And imagine if that small parcel would cost 15 million, imagine 5,000 hectares, how much would that cost? And then what happened also, you see, they made me angry even before the talk. When I talked about, I told them that I'm going to have a cut-off mark for agriculture. Enough is enough. So what I want you to do, before I make a pronouncement, Because I'm going to launch the vision during the tour, and that's why we call it an agricultural tour. So send your people together with the Minister of Local Government surveyors. We go and survey all the land that is available, suitable for agriculture, rice production, and others, but more so rice production. Map everything and come. You remember at Jakoto, I was asking, why is the other side not included? The guy said, oh, no. We were thinking about what is, that was a terminology they use. I said, but it's all an area we should use to grow rice. So why is it not part of your map? You say we were looking at the traditional rice growing areas. So they left huge swathes of land that is suitable for agriculture outside of the map. So I thought, so what that means, you gave me, the maps you gave me are not accurate, because if an investor comes and says he wants to, and certain Arab countries have asked me, they want agriculture in the Gambia. And then they ask me, is it possible to have 20 hectares or 20,000 to 50,000 hectares? And I thought that was not possible in a contiguous way. And I said, oh, it has to be one person small. They said, no, we want at least 20,000 hectares stretch. I thought that was not possible. But when I went there, I didn't know that that is possible. It's more than possible, in fact. So, they came and said, oh, you can have about, in they said, 40 to 50,000 hectares over 5 years. And what I've seen there, even Jakot, even CRR alone, we have more than 200,000 hectares that we can use for agriculture. Only rice. And 90% of that is fresh water. So it's the attitude which is a problem. So Vision 2016 is achievable. We can even achieve it in 2015.
So you are putting emphasis on increased acreage, you're putting emphasis on irrigation.
By the grace of the Almighty Allah, even if the sky is, even if, what will make me change, and God forbid, is when, God forbid, we don't have a good harvest, which is not likely. Vision 2016, by 2016, nobody is going to, let's say December 2015, 31st of December 2015, even if we have placed an order of rice coming to the Gambia by December, and it's not here by December 31st, 2015, it's not coming into the Gambia by January 1st, 2016. That's
so it means the import ban would come into force on the 31st of
December 2015. Yes. Not 31st of this
2016, the 31st.
No, then it shouldn't. No, then it will be 2017.
So the ban comes into force in 2017.
2016, and 2016 starts on the 1st of January. So the importation ends 31st of December 2015.
But you mentioned some issues here around rice production. You talk about access to some of the fields. You need cost or whatever it is, bridges, basic infrastructure.
Now, the basic infrastructure is nothing. In fact, I told some people that what I've seen now, if I saw it before, the land available, what do we spend to build the North Bank Road? Half of that could have built the whole entire rice producing areas, and we still have change.
So probably some of these major roads have already been built, infrastructure.
It's not provided,
they've already been built.
Now, but we learned a lesson that all what these people are talking about, these so-called rats at agriculture, is nonsense. Saltwater intrusion. And they call the local people, there's a project for it, money is being given for the project, and they gather the local people to go and work on it, provide a few bags of rice, and then drumming and dancing. and the agricultural officer, project manager comes with his air conditioned vehicle and just appears on TV and works his way out. Now, all what you need, be it saltwater intrusion or control of flooding, is like what you are doing in Bond Road. That's all you need. And instead of putting rubbish and pile it up for just 2 years and then it's washed away, we want to build roads around, ring roads that also are motorable. In that case, for the next 20, 30 years, nobody will think of building another dike, and these fields could be cultivated for the next 100 years. And that is exactly what we're going to do. Now, what is going to happen is like, when you go to Foni, block, you see the block bridge?
Yes.
You see the block bridge in block? And then that rice field where you have the bridge. That is all you need across all the water areas in the Gambia to be able to have at least 200,000 hectares for rice production. It's just a road you need. A concrete road, nothing.
200,000 hectares, if you do the math, at least even for 3 tons per hectare.
No, they were telling me that you can have minimum of 8 tons per hectare. And what is the local consumption of rice in this country? They look at how much
They say the average Gambian consumes 117 kilograms of rice annually.
annually.
That's a little under 2.5-50 kilobytes.
Now, when you look at it also, I think they're saying talking about 16,000 tons a year. Now, let's say 5 tons per hectare, and that's the bad side, that's the lowest yield, 5 tons per hectare. Multiply that, you have almost 1 million tons of, all you need out of the million is just 16 tons, 16,000. So the rest, imagine if that is exported, how much hard currency it will be, foreign exchange it will bring to the country. And it's doable and it's achievable by the grace of the Almighty Allah.
So that means in 2 years we'll have to increase production by at least 4 to 5-fold.
Actually, what is happening is that if we control what is produced, even by next year, we will achieve it. Because what is put under production now, because flood, they were only producing during the dry season and that's it. Of course, also with that production, they have to contend with birds and hippos. Thank God and touch wood, those things are not happening again. And now, so as we go, people are harvesting. From the time I left the flood during the top to now, people are harvesting and transplanting. Because the problem that prevented them from cultivating during the rainy season is solved. That is the blockage of the canal. The canal is not working perfectly, so they know that their crops will not be submerged. Also, I've given them a rice variety that, you know, the more water you have on the field, the taller it grows. You remember it was here. And I've deliberately flooded the field. You go, the water comes up to your waist, and the rice comes up to your neck. Because the more water you have, the rice is going higher. So that is the variety also that I've sent to them. And you remember all the time I've been talking about now coming to get this rice and multiply it and give it to the farmers. The Concoba rice, the minister was shocked to realize that they didn't have it.
I went around the country not long ago.
Yeah, I saw you on TV, yes.
Yes, the response to the current call is massive. Vast expanses are being cleared. I mean, lands that have been lying fallow over the years have been revitalized.
But I think you've seen the problem too.
I have seen the problems.
What was the problem?
Well, people have started planting. But they're asking for fertilizer.
Yeah.
They say fertilizer has not been done.
But what type of people do you find? Basically, these the women.
Yeah, but men are also responding. Honestly, the response is across the board. It's not just women.
That makes
throughout the whole country.
by the grace of Allah, we achieved this in 2016.
Yes. And I can attest to the fact that vast expanses are being cleared. People are responding massively to the call.
Well, I may be prejudiced here.
Sustaining the momentum is the next
important. No. That's not a problem. The inputs wouldn't be a problem. Because now, the most expensive infrastructure development is road construction. And now the major highway, major road that is pending are two. That is Lamin-Koto Pasimas route, which we are funding, thanks to the Almighty Allah and some Gulf states. And then Basse-Koina highway. And of course the Maninkaya Fasa highway. Could you believe that now it is under construction? Because what I've seen there, I still feel bad about the way the road is. But thank God we've started construction of that road. And that road also would open up hundreds of thousands of hectares of agricultural land, because the most fertile soils in this country are in the Kiangs. Now, during the rainy season, you go to Kiang and you look at the greenery in Kiang is different from anywhere else. This is pitch dark green. That shows you that the soil is very fertile. And whatever you plant in Kiang does very well. So it can open up Kiang to massive agriculture, cashew production, other cash crop production.
But the issue of corruption and indiscipline.
Oh yes, that's why we're expanding the hotel. And we're also setting up, just yesterday I approved the guy who's going to lead the Anti-Corruption Commission. I don't want to say that, but yes, it was. Yesterday, last night, that one of the files contained request for approval for the Anti-Corruption Commission and the head of the Anti-Corruption Commission to be appointed. Of course, there is no way I would allow corruption. They say we have zero tolerance for corruption, drugs, rape, murder. Corruption you can never afford to play with. It's a cancer that is very deadly. Even if you have massive resources and you allow corruption, these massive resources would enrich a few people that will trample upon others. They become lords in this country. Their children will enjoy to the detriment of the masses. That is not going to happen. Corruption is not going to happen. Well, why do you think we are arresting people that we dismiss now? You not let you go with whatever you have stolen. You have to pay for it. Then you go and start from scratch. Corruption is a no-go area. It's zero tolerance. Operation no compromise is still, in fact, if it is stronger yesterday, it is very strong today. Operation no compromise is being implemented at the letter now as we speak. That's why when I find somebody, I just don't let you go home. We check what you have done, what you have taken that doesn't belong to you, and we deal with it in a court of law. Corruption will not be tolerated. When you encourage corruption, nepotism, indiscipline comes in. Drugs comes in and then they set your country on fire. God forbid, I'm not going to condone corruption. I would rather die than condone corruption. Corruption, don't even think about it. Any day that you take something in a corrupt manner, count your days that you go to jail or pay a high price for it. By the grace of the Almighty Allah. If I don't see you, Allah would see you anyway. And that's why when you share, you say, help me God. And that phrase is very important. People take it lightly. Oh, it's just a mere ceremony. You say, help me God. You don't say, help me the president. So if you are doing something evil and I get you, go to God, not me, because I will not have mercy for you. You didn't say, help me the president. You say, help me God.
So, still on agriculture and the Vision 2016. the involvement of the private sector is crucial, because it's often said that it's the engine of growth, and agriculture is the backstay as of now of the economy of this country. Private sector is not responding on a scale as we would envisage to bring about the kind of revolution in agriculture that we are talking about. What is your word to them?
Well, it's very simple. As far as I'm concerned, we believe in partnership, and partnership that will benefit both sides. We don't want a partnership where the government pays the price, or where government would foot the bill on the people of this country. Who created the engine of growth is the government, and that's the private sector. So if the engine of growth doesn't want to participate in agriculture, the creator of the engine of growth will be the engine of growth in agriculture, and that's the government.
That means?
That means government will put up all the infrastructure required to achieve our objectives. If the private sector is not ready to go into this. But, you see, when we talk about private sector, we're not talking about only the Gambian private sector. And as we speak, there are even foreign countries, governments, that are interested in investing in agriculture in the Gambia. Also, foreign companies are interested in investing in the Gambia. So there's a huge response, despite there's a muted response from the Gambian local private sector. But necessity is the mother of invention. But yesterday they had a stakeholders meeting, Gambia government and the private sector, especially what they call the rice cartel. Well, I've not got the minutes of that meeting, but it is to make it very clear to them that we expect them to play a pivotal role in this. But the private sector is not restricted to only the Gambian private sector. As a government, we are ready to go with any private sector player who comes into this country and is interested to make sure that we realize the objectives of our vision and beyond. Now, what type of investors would I want in this country? Is the type of investors where it's a win-win situation, 50-50. They come here because they want to make money. But we also want to make sure that they come here, we allow them in because we also want to achieve an objective and eradicate poverty. So when they come in, they will create the conducive environment in return for employing Gambians and skills transfer, knowledge transfer, and of course boosting our economy and getting people out of unemployment and eradicating poverty and hunger. So when we talk about the private sector, yes, the government private sector's response, so far, as far as I know, in fact, we didn't have I didn't have officially any response. And that's why I told the Ministers of Agriculture and Trade to talk to them, explain to them. Now, when you produce, the private sector still has a role to play. They can either go into joint venture with government or even the communities, or they go joint ventures between themselves, public-private partnerships. Now, or they can invest in the processing. Because with this, we will need agro-processing, especially huge milling machines. And of course, since we are targeting the export market, it has to be milling plants that are standard, universal quality, that can produce any quality that is required by any particular region. And so the private sector would invest in that. Of course, we will need more machinery. We have to mechanize it. And they can also play a pivotal role in the same way that they import. In the event that they are not investing in the production itself, they can buy from the farmers and distribute it or export it to other countries. So they still have a role to play. The same way they buy from Burma and distribute in the Gambia, the same way they can buy from Gambian rice farmers and export it to anywhere in Africa or in Asia or Europe. So they still have a role to play. But when we're talking about Vision 2016, everybody is thinking that, oh, I have to go to the farm. Not everybody is going to the farm. But everybody has a role to play. And the role we have to play is either processing, marketing, or investing in one thing or the other. Yes. But I don't want to pass judgment because they met yesterday and I don't know what they discussed. But the objective was to make it clear to them that they still have a role to play.
You mentioned one important area, agro-processing, so to speak. I was in the combos not long ago.
Don't tell me about mangoes, please. I feel very bad about this, but by the grace of the Almighty Allah, by next year it will not happen. If it is about mangoes, and I know that's the only visible thing you can tell me.
I spoke to a government official. He said, I think the first processing plant probably will be set up in the very near future. Is that true?
No comment. But let me tell you, it will not happen next year. 2015, it will not happen. You know why? I've been talking about an agro-processing plant, a mango processing plant. Remember when we went to Daslama to inaugurate that project where they were using machines to process different things? I think it was mangoes they were processing.
Mango, kaba, and even kaba.
And kaba. You know, so I made it clear that we'll have an industrial scale. You see, upon retrospect, those cottage industries would have gone a long way to the extent that the communities could have gotten something bigger out of the process of that. But we also realize that the behavior, the attitude, the Gambians have a very bad attitudinal problem, which is inimical to development. So I talked about a paradigm shift. And that is, what does that mean now? These so-called community projects, we are no longer going to entertain. Typical example, huge failures. We spent $12 million in Gunju project, fisheries project, Tanje, Bakau and others, the fish market in Brikama. And all these projects are badly mismanaged to the extent that they owe huge areas to NAWEC and others. They cannot even buy spare parts to maintain the facilities. Despite the fact that this is revenue generating centers, generating revenue, but due to bad management, the community is not even benefiting. It's only a few individuals in the communities that are benefiting. So we're going to change from that. We're going to set up a government or public-private partnership institution to run all this. As from now, we're not going to bring a community project to be managed by the community, because the plant in Daslame and elsewhere should have been a success story that would have led to the whole community setting up their own processing plant. Unfortunately, it was due to mismanagement, it has collapsed. So we have learned very bitter lessons during the past 20 years. The only one that, among the few that are thriving and doing a little bit better, is the Bangladeshi Women's Garden. Now, of course, you see the infrastructure that is put there, but it was put there when? They should have gone past that stage. So community attitude towards community projects has never been encouraged.
Now, how is the celebration going to be for the 22nd,
well,
the 20th anniversary?
Be it in the month of Ramadan or outside the month of Ramadan, we will still celebrate. The celebration will be in the form of thanking the Almighty Allah, because this is the holy month of Ramadan. And so it will be in the form of recitation of the Holy Quran, to ask the Almighty Allah to give us more and fast our resources. We have access, we exploit them in peace and tranquility, and become a very wealthy country and an economic superpower. So it will be in the form of Ndogu. There will be recitation of the Quran from the morning till the following day, and people will be coming around. You have one central that is on the 22nd itself, that will be here at State House where people are invited. Now after that, the municipalities and the regions, the Lord Mayors and the governors, without their regional celebration, they will have to set the date for themselves. But the day itself, you have what is called Gamo recitation of the Quran night and the Thanksgiving that are together as Gambians. There are the preachers that will be invited to preach. Yes, this is how we're going to celebrate it.
Well,
but after that, the big day is, I think we set up a date, October. Huh? Start from October 9th. It will be 10 days celebration for 20 years of being grateful to the Almighty Allah. So that one would be where you have the drums and whatever, because I know you missed that. So if that is what you miss, you will have it for 10 days stretch.
On a final note, if somebody says, President Jammeh, what has been your secret in terms of what you've been able to?
This is what I've been talking about. If it is a secret, why would I tell you? And I will tell you. My secret, I won't tell you.
Somebody asked, what was your strength? Because you building a nation probably from...
It's not even a secret as such. The Almighty Allah. I put my faith in the Almighty Allah. I worship the Almighty Allah and I beg the Almighty Allah.
Some will say we also put our faith in Him. We also...
Pardon?
Some will also say we also put our faith in Him. We also pray and beg Him.
Yeah. How many children were born and how many were appointed prophets? That answers your question.
Many are called.
Well, that answers your question. How many human beings do you have in this world and how many were appointed prophets?
Many are called, only few are chosen.
So anyway, whether people believe that way, I, Yahya Jammeh, put my faith in the Almighty Allah. And I cannot do anything without the Almighty Allah. Irrespective of what you believe or what you think. Some people, that is some people, that's not Yahya Jammeh. Yahya Jammeh is not some people. For me, my strength, my achievement are in the hands of the Almighty Allah. How long I live in this world, my status of health is the Almighty Allah who decides that. And that's why I worship only the Almighty Allah. So what other people believe is not my problem. You understand? It is stated in the Quran that even your son will not stand for you. You will not stand for your son in the next world. So obviously, I don't care what people think about God or the Almighty Allah. I am particular about what I believe in. And that is the Almighty Allah. So the Almighty Allah is not a secret. The only secret about the Almighty Allah is that you cannot see Him. But my strength, my achievement, it is the Almighty Allah, period.
Unless you have...
So you also have doubts about God, right?
No.
He says some people, how would you know what is in the minds of other people if it is not in your mind?
I spoke to some people.
And they're talking about our God. And they well, you know, how many people believe in God just for the sake of believing in God, or practice Islam or Christianity just to show people that it's because of the society that they have to show that they believe in God? Do you understand what I'm saying? So, it is an individual thing. Don't allow people's skepticism about God influence your belief in God. And that is why it is always dangerous when you have if you have a friend that you are not supposed to have. A friend who doesn't believe in God and is your friend. And that is why Surah Al-As defines what a friend is supposed to be. If you know Surah Al-As, and you tell me that you are a Muslim and this is my friend and you know the Quran, I should be able to know who you are if I know your friend before.
I would like to bring this interview to an end unless you have something else to say.
I wish every Gambian happy 28th anniversary, and non-Gambian for that matter, and I will take this opportunity to convey my profound gratitude and eternal indebtedness to all Gambian women and men and children, and non-Gambians for that matter, that stood by us and contributed and encouraged us, gave us moral support, financial support, political support, and spiritual support in the form of prayers for us to be where we are today. We will still need more of that in the next 5 years for us to achieve the economic superpower status. I wish you all the best, and may the Almighty Allah accept our fasting and our prayers and our repentance and reward us in His kingdom, paradise. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency.